Hi there, everyone, and welcome to today's RollMaster Wisdom Wednesday webinar. My name is Kelly Gratner, and in today's webinar, I'll be discussing some key hardware elements that will help you to better utilize RollMaster. And some of the things that I'll be discussing include adding a printer, running a speed test, and we'll discuss some printer recommendations, as well as the ideal screen resolution to help you optimize your RollMaster experience. And we'll also be discussing briefly running RollMaster on a tablet, as well as we will also do a quick overview of our help site. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and get started in today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, and so at this point, we're going to go ahead and get started with today's webinar, which basically focuses on some of the hardware aspects of best running your system when you are utilizing RollMaster. Now, as many of you are aware, there's a lot of different components with your RollMaster system. And so the first thing that we are going to kind of dive into and take a look at is where and how you can add and remap printers. So first things first is adding and remapping printers doesn't have to be an overly cumbersome task in the RollMaster system. But it is important to note that only certain menus from within the RollMaster system will actually allow a user to access the printer setup area. And those menus are seen here and as follows: menu.fil, menuwhole.fil, and menu.no.fil. These are the three menus which would allow a user full access to the hardware maintenance and printer setup and maintenance areas. And so just on a side note, you can always access our custom user and module spreadsheet that is available on our help site. And it's an Excel spreadsheet that lists all of the various user menus and the areas which those menus have access to. So if your user ID is set up with an appropriate menu, then the first place that you would go would be System Maintenance. And from here, you can navigate to Hardware Maintenance. And from Hardware Maintenance, if you have the appropriate user setup, then you should see the very first option, which is labeled as Printer Setup and Maintenance. And again, please keep in mind that not all users will see this option. But once you get into the printer setup and maintenance screen, this here is exactly where you would add a new printer to your system. And so to add a new printer, you would first want to navigate right down to the bottom left corner, and there's an option to add new. So you can click on that, and then up here at the top, it's then going to open up an area for you to designate this printer with a name. Please keep in mind there are some rules that you can follow in regards to the printer information. For example, it does need to be one single word with no spaces, and you have 14 characters maximum in which to name this printer. And so once you have named the printer, you're going to want to look down right below the printer name is an area where you can designate where this printer is active and in which branch. Now keep in mind that if you were to leave this area blank, that it would actually allow the printer to be recognized in all branches. However, for example, if I only needed this particular printer to be recognized in a specific branch, then I could type the branch ID here. But for purposes of the webinar, I will go ahead and leave this blank. And typically by default, most printers are set up company-wide to be spread across all branches. And again, to do that, you would just leave this box here blank. Now looking below here, you have the option in which to designate the printer type. Typically, most oftentimes, the printers will be labeled as a logo printer. Please keep in mind that with server-side printing, you're always going to want to use a logo printer with the RollMaster system. So for example, if you're printing graphical items such as customer receipts or sales agreements or anything that would display your company logo or anything that would be using server-side printing, you're always going to want to set up that printer as a logo type printer. To the right of the logo type, we do have an option for text. However, text printers are seldomly used in relation to logo printers. Text printers usually fall in line with items like printing 1099 forms at the end of the year or printing checks. And then if you did select the text option, then these options down here would then open up and you would be able to designate the specific type of text printer that you are setting up. To the right of here, if you are happening to set up a barcode printer, then you could choose the barcode option. And below the barcode option, again, you're going to see some other choices open up in which to designate as your barcode printer. Please feel free to reach out to RollMaster support, or you can always feel free to access our documentation on our help site if you have any specific questions about setting up a barcode printer or setting up a text printer. But again, as I mentioned, the majority of the time you're going to be setting up new printers as logo printers. Now, one of the last steps that you'll need to follow when setting up a printer is to actually map the printer to the physical printer, which happens to reside in your office or in your showroom or in your sales floor. And to do that, you would click on the Remap button that's located in the bottom kind of center of the screen right down here. So I'll click on Remap. And as an example, if I were setting, and what this will do is it will take you to a list of printers that are already active and installed and recognized by your specific computer. So all this is going to do is it's going to open up a list of printers that are active on your computer. And so you can go ahead and use the scroll bar to kind of scroll through and select a specific printer in which to map to this new printer in which you're adding. Then you can go ahead and click print. And what this is going to do, as you see now, this actually has input that printer map into the user machine specific info field. So what this has done is it's now told the system that this is where RollMaster wants to look when you are utilizing this particular printer in the system. And once you have done that, you would go ahead and click the Save button. And you'll get a confirmation letting you know that the printer has been added to the system, and you can just go ahead and click OK. Once you've done that, you should see the printer pop up in your list of existing printers, and that will show over here on the right-hand side. Please keep in mind that you can also see a list of all other existing printers in your system. All right, the next thing that we're going to talk about in this webinar is how to run a speed test for any connection issues, or just if you're interested to see how your system is performing with regards to RollMaster. And I will show you real quick how you can run a speed test. Now, to run a speed test, you're going to want to first navigate to RollMaster Start. One thing that I do want to point out in this webinar also is you can maximize the RollMaster Start window, and you can actually scroll through the window to make it a little larger. And just to keep in mind that we do have notices and info that are available, and I feel like a lot of times customers don't know that you can expand the information here. So I just wanted to point that out. And while we're at it, I do want to point out that we are having a fall 2021 workshop soon approaching. This is going to be one of our first workshops that we've had in a pretty long time. The dates are October 11th through 14th, and this will be held in the San Diego area. It will be at the Hyatt Regency in La Jolla, California. So if you wanted to find more information or even register for the workshop, you can do this through RollMaster Start by clicking on this link. But going back to what we were discussing in terms of running a speed test, you can run a speed test here from within RollMaster Start. And what you would do in order to run the speed test is you would click on the green settings button. From here, you can click on the button that's in the upper right-hand corner. It's labeled Check Connection. So I'll click on this blue button here. And when you click on this button, you have three different options in which to choose from. The one that I would recommend that kind of will incorporate all three of these options is to click on the Run Auto Test button, and that's located in the bottom left corner of the screen. It's right down here. But if you wanted to isolate any three of these options, you could, of course, click on the tracer route option, or you could do a speed test, which is right here where you can actually download just the speed, or you can do a ping test. So again, I think that running the auto test is the best option because it will encompass all three of these options. So if you click on Run Auto Test, the connection test will begin automatically. And you just give it a few seconds to go ahead and do its thing, and it's going to go ahead and run that auto test. And as you can see, while you're running the auto test, you can see the results in real time. It will just kind of give you a breakdown of exactly what the auto test is doing. And this is sort of giving you an idea of how long it takes your particular computer to connect to the RollMaster servers, and then vice versa, how long it takes for the RollMaster servers to send the information back to your particular machine. And so here we are. Right here we can see the results of the tracer route, as well as download results, which is the speed test, and the ping results as well. So that is exactly where you can run a speed test at from within RollMaster. And also, while we are here in this settings area from RM Start, you can also verify your settings from this screen. And to verify settings, you would click on the green button that has this cloud and the check mark, and that's located in the upper left-hand corner of the settings screen. And so we'll go ahead and click on that. And from here, this will bring you to a smaller settings window. And this is exactly where you can input your individual customer key. Now, some of the reasons why you may need to verify your customer key code would be in the instance of a server upgrade or a server move, or if we happen to be doing any kind of maintenance to our servers, then this is exactly where you would enter your particular customer key. Please be advised that you can obtain your customer key from a RollMaster support personnel. So what you would do is you would just go ahead and paste the customer key exactly as it's provided to you. And you don't want to add any special characters or add any spaces or anything like that. So you'll just go ahead and paste it, and then you can click check. And once you click check, it will verify your company's key, and then it will populate with your company's alias. As you can see right here, kind of in the middle of this window, it's giving me my company's alias, and it's also showing me a green check mark over here on the right. The green check mark is a successful verification, so that's what you want to see. Then, upon successful verification, you can go ahead and click the Save button, and that's all that there is to it. So that is how you would verify your company's key code. Next, we're going to talk about the ideal screen resolution in order to get the best experience when using RollMaster. Now, this particular screen that we're looking at, this is my computer screen, and my computer screen is set to the recommended resolution, and that particular resolution happens to be 1280 by 800. And while to some of you that may sound like a rather low resolution, it is definitely one of the recommended screen resolution settings that you can go ahead and set your monitor to in order to get the best experience out of RollMaster. Okay, and moving right along, the next thing that we're going to discuss just briefly are printer specifications in relation to the RollMaster system. Now, I showed you where in system maintenance, you can click there, and then if you go to hardware maintenance, and then printer setup and maintenance, we already looked at this area, and this is where you can actually add a new printer. But we also wanted to quickly discuss printer specifications as it relates to the RollMaster system. Anytime that your company may be considering a new printer, you'll always want to make sure that the new printer is PCL3 or higher. PCL stands for Printer Command Language. And as a side note, most printers on the market these days will be at least PCL3 or higher typically. And as far as brands, the brother brand of printers do tend to work well with RollMaster, but we're certainly not advocating or advertising that you pick that particular brand, but just keep in mind that we have heard good things about them. But again, the main thing that you want to look at is that the printer is a PCL3 or higher printer. Also, just so you know, the specifications for laser printers would typically include PCL information in the printer description, which you can typically find online on the printer's website or in the particular store. So that is just kind of a quick synopsis of what you'd want to look for in a printer when you're dealing with RollMaster. And next, we're going to quickly touch on using RollMaster on a tablet. So with tablets, we want to inform you that RollMaster is compatible on tablets as long as the device is capable of running a full version of Windows. So tablets using the Lite or Go versions are typically set to S mode, and just be advised that those can be limited in the apps in which they run. So in order to function with RollMaster, the tablet really needs to have a full version of Windows. So if you're thinking of an iPad, then you would want to make sure that the iPad is capable of running a Peripherals software. And Peripherals is something that's external to RollMaster. It's not affiliated directly with RollMaster, so you would want to do some research or perhaps consult with an IT person or your network person at your company. But just also another recommendation, when you're using a tablet, you want to have full keyboard functionality, and that will certainly make using RollMaster a lot easier when you are using a tablet. In some instances, with regard to S mode, we have seen that switching a tablet out of S mode will allow RollMaster to install on the device. We do have an article specific to this on our help site, and we certainly do recommend that you refer to any specific manufacturer specifications for your particular tablet device. And that will give you some more information on its Windows capability as well as running in S mode. Okay, folks, and last but not least, we're going to briefly do a quick overview of how to best navigate our support help site. So you can utilize our help site by navigating to help.rmaster.com, and this will bring you straight to our portal in which you can go ahead and access all of our system documentation as well as help articles, videos, and various tutorials. You can also submit tickets and track the status of your RollMaster support tickets through this website. Now, one of the first things that you'll want to do if you haven't already signed up as a member of our help site is you can go over here to the right-hand side where you have an option to sign up. You'll go ahead and enter your name and email address. Then you can go ahead and perform the CAPTCHA and you'll click sign up. And for those of you who are already signed up as current users of the help site, you just go ahead and log in here by entering your email address and your password. And then you can click sign in. And this will bring you straight to our welcome page where you can actually search our knowledge base or submit a ticket. Now, by default, when you land on this page, you will have the option to click on our knowledge base. That can be found on the left-hand side, and this is where you can browse through a whole set of articles, as well as user guides, videos, and FAQs. Or to the right, you can actually submit a ticket, and you can also view your previous tickets. So right here is where you can view any closed tickets. If you happen to have any open tickets, they would be found right here under the open option, and as well as you can view tickets that may be on hold. So we just want to make sure that everybody knows that you do have the option to submit tickets right here on the help site. Now, to navigate back to the knowledge base, you can click up on the right-hand side where there is a banner. You can always click on knowledge base, and this will bring you straight to different various categories of the RollMaster help site. And so you'll find our release notes on here, and these are listed in order of the most current release notes. So as an example, here we can see our quarter 2 2021 release notes, final version that can be found here. And there is some really great new information. So I highly suggest everyone to check out our release notes if you have not done so yet. In addition, we also have our quarter 1 2021 release notes. So both of those can be found here. At the same time, we do have a section for training videos, as well as our system manuals for all RollMaster modules. Now, by using the scroll bar, you can just go ahead and scroll down the page. And from here, you can actually access all of our Wisdom Wednesday webinars. Those are all listed here, as well as our prior release notes, which have been merged into existing documentation. And as you can see, these are segregated by year. And then from there, you will notice that all of the modules are listed in alphabetical order. So it does start with accounts payable, and then you can just scroll down and you'll see all of the various areas and modules in the RollMaster system. Please keep in mind that a lot of these categories do have multiple articles, and you won't be able to see all of them from within this one area here. But if you click on the More link, which is seen right here in this orange lettering, you can click on More and it will take you to any additional articles which may exist. And so if you click back, that'll take you right back to our categories. And as you can see, we have a wealth of support articles available here for you to certainly utilize. Feel free to come in here as often as you need to. Scrolling down to the very bottom, you will see recent articles which have been accessed on the help site, as well as some of the more popular articles that other users have been clicking into here on this help site. And if you still can't find an answer, you can actually submit a ticket down here at the bottom as well by clicking on this orange button. But that essentially sums up our help site, and we do want to make sure everyone knows that this is here for you to utilize. One thing that I actually just found out about here during this webinar is you can either increase or decrease the font size of this screen, and you can also set the screen to be full width. So just a couple little random things here that we wanted to show you. But with that, we are actually going to go ahead and wrap up today's webinar. We thank you, as always, for joining the webinar today. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to us anytime at support@rmaster.com. Thank you so much for joining, and we hope to see you all soon.